What is up, everybody, and good morning. Keith Mitchell here from the Outerhaven Productions. And over the weekend, I had a chance to play Elden Ring Nightreign, the upcoming roguelike, Souls-like game from Fromsoftware. And to be honest, I'm not completely sure about this game, but I did play the game along with a couple of people over at the Outerhaven. And there's a whole bunch of stuff I really want to talk about, and I'm going to be all over the place. So I have this doc, which is the first time, because usually when I talk about stuff, it's from the hip, but I have this doc here to keep me on track because there's so many things here that I actually want to talk about. Again, so let's take this from the very top. So Elden Ring Nightreign is a brand new experiment from Software where they take elements from games like PUBG and Fortnite, where they have this ever closing area and force players to gain experience, level up, get gear. And this takes over the course of 3 days, where each day that ends you fight a boss, and then the end of the last day you fight a major boss. And if you beat the major boss, or if you beat any of the bosses, you continue on. It is an interesting game, to say the least. But it's also a game that I think a lot of people are really going to enjoy once they start playing. And I also think it's a game that a lot of people are really going to despise, given that what it is. So let me just talk about some of the things that I was really concerned about when they announced this game. And first and foremost is the network. From Software is not the best when it comes to networking. I'll put it that way. Their network infrastructure in all their games, Demon Souls, all the Dark Souls, Elden Ring, their conceptuals are terrible. You know, when you play Demon Souls or Dark Souls or Elden Ring, you had to perform witchcraft and pray and everything else under the sun to either get access to someone's game or have them join your game. And then if one of you died, it was the end of the run, and back to the world you went, and it was not fun. So going into this, when they said, hey, this is going to be a co-op game, online co-op game, the first thing I thought was like, oh boy, this is going to be a nightmare. This is going to be terrible. But after playing the game over the weekend, I have to say that I'm impressed. I'm impressed with what they have achieved. People dropping aside, I mean, they were having network issues over the weekend. That's because it was called a network test. I get that. They showed me that they are capable of doing what I was very fearful that they could not do. Before I got access to the network test, I joked and said maybe they should go kidnap somebody from Gunfire Games. They are the developer from Remnant from the Ashes and Remnant 2, which has an amazing online co-op system. You can jump in anybody's game when you want, you can leave when you want. The bosses scale up and down according to that, and I think they are, bar none, the best developers that have shown me how to do a co-op game properly in terms of Souls-like games. But this game, with this network test, From Software has shown me that they have the ability to do it right, which kind of begs to ask, why didn't they do it right, you know, these last few games? Why didn't they do that? But regardless, I didn't see a lot of network drops. I did see some issues with being able to use the password, which is why they eventually disabled the password. I think it was like Friday evening and all day Saturday, but Sunday you were able to use the password, which was great. And it was simple. You put in your global password, you tell your friends, hey, this is the password, and they found your session, and it was done. And I was like, okay, great, this is great. You got it, you've done it, you did this. And I was impressed. You know, playing out in the world, everybody did their own thing. Of course, the rain came and forced us together, but it worked great. So I'm very impressed with the networking there. They did a great job with that. Of course, network tests, that's a big difference from having thousands of people or even millions of people coming and playing the game when it gets released March 30th. So we will wait and see what happens with that. I am also a little frustrated, though, the good and the bad. There is no crossplay. That's very frustrating because every From Software game that's ever been released, I always play it on one main platform, and then they come back later on and pick it up on the other platforms, given if there's a friend of mine that wants to play the game. Like, I play Elden Ring on PC, and then I had people picked up on PlayStation. They're like, hey, can you play with me on PlayStation? I've had the same thing in Dark Souls. I picked it up on Dark Souls 1, 2, and 3 on PC, and I had people pick it up on Xbox and say, hey, can you play this game with me? So I go and I double dip, or in my instance, I triple dip, and I go from there. But that gets expensive, and I'm not really sure if this game's the kind of game that I want to do that with. And now that I played it on PlayStation and I've seen the performance, I'm like, this game has some issues. But again, this is not indicative of the full game. This is a network test. We don't know what code they're running, so I have to stop. But I do see some sort of issue later on down the road where I pick it up on the PC. And I know my friends are going to pick it up on PlayStation. I know they are, but I want to play it on PC just because of the performance. But we'll just have to wait and see. But the crossplay is ridiculous. There's still no crossplay. Companies that were adamant of not putting crossplay in their games have eventually put crossplay in their game. Look at Capcom. We've been asking them for Monster Hunter Worlds and Monster Hunter Rise to put crossplay in, and they were like, no, we don't want to do it, blah, 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 blah. And then with Monster Hunter Wilds, they're like, okay, here's your crossplay, guys. Here is your crossplay. You've got it. You've asked for years. We give up. Here's crossplay. But we got Fromsoftware going, no. If you want to play with your friends, go buy the copy with your friends. On the upside, it's not like conventional Elden Ring where you leveled up your amazing character, you're level 200, you've got all this impressive gear, and then you got to start over from scratch. Because this is a roguelike. So every session you start with nothing. Well, outside of your runes, you start with nothing. So there's a big advantage where they're doing it this way. But even then, we're not rich. Well, not all of us are rich, and we can't afford to buy all these games. So crossplay would have been nice, but yet again, we got no crossplay. So go from there. I did play with the Recluse. Most of my time I played with this game because I like magic users, and I do think that this character is very interesting, but I also think this character is perhaps the hardest character to use, and I think somebody else also mentioned that to me. So this caster has two cool abilities, and I'm just going to read them off description, which is the magic cocktail ability, where you collect affinity residues of targets to fire an affinity exploding magical cocktail. So what happens basically with this is there's a little a circle that appears on a character. There's different colors. It's like yellow or blue or red, given on what character or enemy you're absorbing the essence from. Okay, and it also doubles up by giving you back your FP, because there is no way to recover FP in the game outside of things in the world or using this ability. You can't use a potion to regain your FP, which if you've never played the Recluse and you've never paid attention to how you get magic back, you'll probably say this character sucks. But no, you have to keep using the magical cocktail ability, which is an interesting concept because you can grab the residue off of an enemy, you can grab it off of a friend, and there are 3 circles around that ability. And every time you do that, you gain something like fire or wind or holy. I can't remember all of them. And once you fill all those up, the 4th time you use that ability, you throw out a special ability from that. And sometimes it sucks, sometimes it's amazing. You don't know. It's the luck. It's the draw of the luck there. You never have any idea. So that's an interesting concept. But I love the fact that as you level up, you get back your FP. And at some point, you get to the point where you're just checking out magic left and right, and you're not really worrying about how much FP you have, because you know when you use the magical cocktail ability, you'll get it back. I love that. Then there's the Soulborn Song, or Sung, S-O-N-G-E, and it says, at least forbidden blood chant to brand nearby foes with blood sigils. And what this means is, you use this ability, it's an ultimate ability. It's not like other character ultimate abilities where it does damage. This one marks any enemy within the area with a red icon. Looks pretty cool. And what happens is, anytime you shoot that enemy with your magic, or anytime your friends hit an enemy, they get back health, which is great because that means that's kind of a support ability, especially great when you're fighting bosses or you're out in the world and you're about to get your butt kicked and you don't want to use health. You can just use ultimate ability and just pew 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 from a distance. I like that, but I don't like the fact that this means this character doesn't have any real offensive ability in terms of the ultimate. But I'm pretty sure From Software is like, hey, look, they can get all these different stabs and get all these cool abilities, so they really don't need this. So I can understand the concept of this character, but it does make it hard. I also don't like when you use the magic cocktail ability and you have absorbed enough residues that you have all three of those circles lined up, and the next time you use it, it's going to release that special that it has saved up. Well, what if I'm out of FP? Well, then I do it anyway, and it unleashes that ability, even though I didn't want to do that. So maybe change that to a different button so I don't use the abilities from the magical cocktail, because I don't like that, and I've done it so many times where I'm like, I need to get my FP back, and I did it, and then I was like, I did not want to use my special. So they need to change how that works, at least in my mind. Change how it works. I don't like that, wasting everything that you saved up just because you need to get more FP, and there's no other way to get FP but to doing that. So don't like that. Communication in this game sucks. Communication in this game is terrible. You either jump in with a friend or multiple friends, or you jump in with randos, and there's no way to communicate with them other than marking stuff. Well, the marking stuff doesn't really help. It doesn't really give them any kind of indication of what you want to do or what you mean. It could be better. Like other games like this, you have a will that has different options to say, hey, I'm doing this. Hey, let's go do this. So you can easily add a will that says, hey, let's go here, or hey, there's weapons here, hey, there's an enemy here. There's none of that in here. It's just you mark something and you have no idea what that marking means. Does it mean go there? Does it mean there's stuff over there? Does it mean there's an enemy over there? It doesn't really tell us anything. So we have no idea what it means. Obviously, if you're talking to friends, you're usually on Discord or TeamSpeak or something that you can communicate with them and say, hey, there's stuff over there, which that defeats the purpose of even having a system in game. But when you're working with randos, that's the problem. There's no real way to communicate with them, and that's a bit frustrating. That needs to be tweaked in my eyes. My other concern is the RNG. Yes, I get it. This is a roguelite, and RNG makes or breaks a roguelite. That's just how it goes. Now, as I mentioned, the majority of the time playing the network test, I use the Recluse, and I've had success and I've had nothing but bad times. And the bad times, when they come, they really come. So when I'm looking for weapons or items, I usually only find melee stuff, which really hurts playing with the Recluse, because like, hey, this is a ranged magic user, and when I can't find a staff or I can't find an incantation and I'm not helping my teammates, it feels bad. Two, it sucks because you're just not doing enough damage output. So when you get to the first boss and either you don't contribute or you barely get past it, and then you get to the second boss and it's like, well, I can't do jack. You know, there just have been times where RNG has looked at me and went, you know what? I'm going to totally kick your ass this game, so don't worry about it. But then there's been other times where I find epic stabs and I'm nuking things, where I get the black flame incantation, and nothing other than having a bad squad is ruining my playthrough. So RNG is going to play a major part in this. And again, you're probably saying, but yeah, Keith, but RNG is a big part of roguelike. No, I get that, but I just feel like, at least from what I've got from this network test, because again, it is a network test, it's not a beta, it's not a demo. We don't know what version of code we're playing with in this network test. So that's a lot of frustrations and our assumptions on my part that maybe are not warranted, because maybe the full game from software will have made some changes and tweaks, and that will be a thing in the past. I'm not saying that I always need to find the best of the best every time, but I am saying that instead of putting all these melee weapons everywhere and leaving stabs in maybe specific locations, you put them in other locations that we can get them more accessible. And not even the best stabs, but at least give us access to something so we're doing some kind of damage. That ruins the game. Can you imagine playing a game and you're trying to help your team and you never get an upgrade, and then you go, well, I feel like crap because I'm not helping, or your teammate go, well, this guy sucks. won't you just leave the game? I don't like that part, and I want to contribute and or do well when playing this game. So RNG is a major concern I have right now. As you know, you play this game either solo, which I wouldn't advise, and you can also play co-op with 3 other people. Now, maybe Fromsoftware could change things up and make it so that you can play by yourself, which a lot of people seem to want, or maybe just make it teams of 2, duels, which also seems to be something that people want. It's just that dynamic. It's either 1s or 2s. We don't want 3s, or if we do more than if we do have more than 2, we want 4. It just seems like 3 is an odd number, just to put it lightly. You know, if we could do duels, that feel a little better, and maybe Fromsoftware can drop the requirement in order to challenge. Challenge is probably a bad word, but yeah, for right now, challenge or difficulty. The difficulty, if they would change the difficulty to allow 2 players to play, that would be pretty cool. I don't get this whole thing with 3, but yeah, maybe they'll make a change. Maybe they'll listen to the feedback, and I'm pretty sure after the network test, a lot of people have provided a lot of feedback regarding this. I've got an entire page of things that could be changed, but again, this is a network test, not a demo, so a lot of these things just aren't fair, and that's why I'm already crossing out things for us to talk about on this conversation, because I don't think that those things are fair. But yeah, give us 2s, give us 1s, give us 2s. Not really a big fan of 3s, and leave it from that. But some of the cool things, because I don't want you to think that I'm overly negative, because I'm not. There's a lot of stuff I like about this game, like the boss encounters. Seeing the centipede demon was like, I remember you from Dark Souls, and I hated you in there, and I hate you in here. Just because sometimes the centipede demon is like the first one you get, depending on which map you're on, and a lot of times when I've got to him, I was very underpowered with the recluse, and I was like, damn, I really hate this guy. But there's been other times where I use a different character, like the Guardian, and I just tore him to shreds. So I really like the bosses. I really wanted to see more. I really wanted to see more bosses in network test, but again, it was just a network test. So I'm really hoping that the full game, it's going to surprise the hell out of us. I know there are going to be bosses from all the Dark Soul games in there, and I couldn't be happier. You know, again, big fan of Dark Souls. I want to see how this formula works with gearing up, jumping to the boss, fighting the boss, gearing up, jumping to the boss. It just feels like a jump in. I want to play Elden Ring, but I don't have time to commit to the game kind of thing. And I think that's what Fromsoftware is going for. Like, we want people to continue to play our games. I know people don't have time to commit to playing hours or thousands of hours, like somebody you may know, like this guy, but they love the universe, and they still want to play. So this seems like a happy mixture of giving us the challenge, giving us the difficulty, giving us the ability to play the game, and we'll have to wait and see how it all comes together when the full game comes out. My experience with the network test was fun. It was fun, you know, outside of the password not working because of one thing or another. I really enjoyed what I played, and I am looking forward to playing the full game when it comes out. I don't want you to think otherwise. I'm a big fan, like I mentioned before, of Fromsoftware titles, and I'm really looking forward to playing this. More so playing with friends and people that I know who know about Elden Ring and know about the combat and know about how the universe works. I'm looking forward to that because I think that's going to make things a lot better. But even when I play with random people that I've never met that could become my friends or whatnot, I do think, as I mentioned earlier, the communication system needs to be better. It needs to be able to allow people to convey certain things like, go here, there's stuff here, watch out from over here. It really needs that. If it doesn't get that, there might be a problem, not in terms of longevity, but getting people on board and playing it and going, you know, it sucks that I can't really talk to my teammates versus, you know, I could do this. I was able to convey everything to my teammates. This game is awesome. And I would rather Fromsoftware get everything from the latter and everybody enjoy the game. All right, so other than that, if you guys enjoyed the video, do us a big favor, Leave a comment below. I would love to know what you think about the game. Did you play in the network test? What are the things you didn't like? What are the things you did like? I want to talk to you about that. And if you like us, you like the work that we do, why not consider subscribing to our channel? Because the more people that we have, the bigger that we get, the more people will see us on YouTube. All right. So once again, thanks for watching, and we will see you on the next video. And damn, I can't wait to play more of this game.